It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do. You do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley. We welcome you to our podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, they've got ideas. You want materials, they're there to help you. There are 9 DIXIELINE locations in San Diego, 1 in Dana Point, including the showroom over on the coast. If you're looking to do projects for the rest of 2025, go to the website, find out all the things they have to offer at DIXIELINE.com. John Riley, good afternoon. There are not enough hours in the day to do all the things that we're about to talk about. How you doing?
I'm good. You came rolling in with your hair on fire, my friend. And so, yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. But, I mean, baseball fans here on the West Coast, we're all pulling our hair out right now. It's bad.
There's a lot of hair on fire in a lot of different places in Major League Baseball, although the pennant races are going to be one of the topics on the table. We're going to talk a ton of NFL football. We got some college football news and notes. We got late-breaking stories about this NBA crisis vis-a-vis the Los Angeles Clippers, and we're going to jump around the globe with hot headlines because we do sports talk the way it should be done. We put topics on the table, we give you opinions, and then when we're done, you have the invitation. No, you have the demand. The mandate. You will get off your ass and you will join us in the fans forum in the chat box because we ask questions. We want responses. You want statements to make. We want to hear what you got to say. For all the new people who join us on this live stream, how does fans forum work, John?
Okay, you know, we got more than just one chat box. We've got 3. We got one on YouTube, one on Facebook, and one on X. And on all 3 of those platforms, we're live streaming, and you can go ahead and just type your question in for Hacksaw. We'll get to you at the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines in the fans forum.
Fans forum opens up when we're done with topics on the table. You must be part of this. It's a very, very different podcast because we make this podcast available to you. A couple of other items. You like sports? Please check my website. It's really different. I write on it every day of the week. It's there first thing in the morning. When this podcast is done, go to the website and just see the volume of information, the best 15 minutes in sports that I write about every day, and my one man's opinion column. That's LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's there. It's up there every day. It's there first thing in the morning for you. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Want you to subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get the alerts every time John and I put a lot of different videos up on our YouTube channel. Do that. We want you on social media. Join my team, LeeHacksawHamilton.com, and hit the follow button there. That way you can participate in all the mini polls that I do. Give us a thumbs up, follow us, give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us a great deal. Lots of ways for you to follow us. We're on every bleeping social media platform there is out there, and we thank you for being part of this. I don't know what our subscriber follower numbers are, John, but it's got to be mega, and we're just into the 3rd year of this.
Oh yeah, I mean when you literally add up all the impressions, all the people we'll touch, it's like millions per year. I mean, it's really remarkable.
So become part of this team. Great to have you on board, and get ready to join us. Fans Forum chat box. John, we're going to talk baseball.
Okay.
Ready, set, go.
Yeah, we're to start off here with the Dodgers, and I mean Dodger fan is about to explode right now.
We've talked extensively about the Dodger problems. You know, a year ago this week, doubting Thomas that I was, the Dodgers had so many surgeries to so many starting pitchers that they had more bullpen days than they had guys in the rotation, and they got a ring. It was absolutely amazing. This year, the topic of conversation is what's happening out there in the outfield in the bullpen. The Dodgers, as of this hour, have 25 blown saves from the relievers. The Dodger relievers have accounted for 31 losses this season, and yet the Dodgers are still in first place. You know, we had back-to-back games against the Phillies where the Dodger bullpen gave up 14 runs in 8 innings. I mean, it's staggering the way that situation is. So you tell me who's to blame. Is it on Dave Roberts for handling, mishandling, whom he uses, when he uses, how many times he uses them? Or is it on Andrew Friedman, the president of baseball operations, who had the chance, with all the great players in the farm system, to make a significant deal to get another closer and did not do it? I mean, it's absolutely staggering. Look at the ERAs of the lead guys in the Dodger bullpen and tell me you're not freaked out if you're a Dodger Blue fan. Justin Wrobleski, who has pitched well in spurts but has not pitched well lately, he's got the best ERA of, quote, the group of closers at 4.52, and that is not acceptable. Blake Treinen, a lot of physical woes. Look at that ERA. Walks people, gives up base hits. Tanner Scott has lost his ability to get people out. And that's hard to say because he found himself here in San Diego last year. That's a $72 million investment with a guy that's got an ERA of 4.82. Brock Stewart, who was the acquisition of the trade deadline despite multiple shoulder problems, is not even there right now. He's in Oklahoma City rehab trying to pitch his way back. But look at his bloated ERA. And once upon a time, this guy had rallied his career for multiple surgeries, and he was really impressive. A chunk of it with the Padres, but not any longer. I don't know how Kirby Yates stays on the roster. Look at his ERA of 5.18. And then the other two names at the bottom, they're out. Evan Phillips has not pitched at all this year. Surgeries. Michael Kopech had surgeries, and then he had knee surgery, and he's not back, and he can't find home plate despite the velocity. I've never seen anything like this. So I guess the question I'm posing, is it that guy's fault on the left, Andrew Friedman, for not making the correct deal at the deadline to go get a closer when a bunch of them were available? Or is it Dave Roberts, the manager's fault, when he makes the call to the bullpen? Now, let me make one other comment about that group. Don't take that off the screen.
I won't. No, it's all there.
Did you watch the Dodger game last night against the Phillies? Did you see the incident with Blake Snell on the mound in the 7th inning?
Yeah.
Now, Blake Snell pitched really well.
Yeah, he did.
Blake Snell had 12 strikeouts. Got himself in jams in the 7th. Pitch count was 110. Dave Roberts walked to the mound. He was going to pull him. And as Dave Roberts crossed the first base line, headed to the mound, Blake Snell shook his head. And then he said, no, my game. Let me finish this. He talked Dave Roberts down. He talked Dave Roberts out of pulling him. Snell went out and got the final out of the inning. Dodgers went on to finally beat Philadelphia. That was pretty ballsy of Blake Snell to do that to a pretty highly regarded, successful manager in Dave Roberts. However, there's history. I just want you to pay attention to this. Blake Snell paid attention to Dodger history in the last 3 weeks. Tyler Glasnow struck out 11 in one game, 12 in another game, left with the lead in both games, and the bullpen blew it.
Right.
Yash Yamamoto had a no-hitter into the 9th in one game, was pulled. Had a one-hitter in the second game, was pulled. Dodgers lost both those games, despite what Yamamoto did. Ohtani, 5 no-hit innings the other night. They took him out on pitch count. What did the bullpen do? Blew it. Emmett Sheehan, 5 innings, 1 hit allowed. He came out of the game, pitch limit, bullpen blew it. So I can understand Blake Snell going, no.
Right.
My game. So that's all things Dodger baseball. My impressions, is it on Friedman or is it on Roberts? Is this going to be fatal to the Dodgers' postseason hopes? Or are we just overreacting? I'll be interested to see what the fans have to say. Fans Forum chat box is open. Dodger Blue fans jump on board. You blame either one of these guys? Is it going to kill the Dodgers at the end? And John Riley says,
yeah, I'm just looking at that list. And, well, you know, Dave Roberts has been accused of having bad timing decisions on when he goes to the bullpen. I think especially in the postseason, he's either too quick to pull the trigger or he's too late to pull a pitcher out. But here, I mean, who are your options? I mean, you don't have, it's not like you got 4 or 5 guys you can count on. So I don't blame Blake Snell for saying, hell no, man, I'm going to finish this thing. I'm surprised Blake didn't demand to go the full 9 innings. Well, he was at 110 pitches, so maybe not. But, you know, I would imagine that in the clubhouse behind closed doors, there's got to be a little bit of friction, between the starters and the bullpen, even if no words are said. These guys are probably looking over their shoulder.
I think there's got to be a lot of unease.
Yeah.
But everybody's doing everything. But that being said, the guys are still in first place.
That's what's so unbelievable.
Yeah.
They win in spite of themselves because they're so loaded.
Yep. So
did you see Tanner Scott's quote? He goes, "Baseball hates me right now."
Yeah. Yes, they do. And it's hard to believe that he has lost his ability to locate his pitches. I mean, he's getting lit. He's given up 12 home runs this season. So you're a Dodger fan. That's the lead story at this hour. Is this going to be fatal to them going to postseason? Because we've lived through this the entire second half of the season, what this bullpen has done. So do you blame Friedman, or is this on Dave Roberts, or is it just baseball situations that exist? We go from that. Let's talk about the other team in the National League West in the pennant chase.
Yeah, the Padres, I think they kind of blew one in New York today.
They lose 2 out of 3 to the New York Mets. Part of me says, like the headline, who do you trust? Part of me says watching Mets baseball at Citi Field is kind of fun. Mets hit 10 home runs in 3 games against Padre pitching. Every time you
It's
look,
not fun if you're a Padre fan.
every time you look, somebody wearing the Met pinstripes is planting one at Citi Field, led by Alonso, who's hit 4 home runs in 4 games. So I asked the question about the Padres. Aside from Nick Pivetta, the ace, who's 13-5, although he's had a couple of no decisions recently where he's kind of gotten banged around. He's having a career season. I would think that Nick Pivetta might be on the periphery of being a Cy Young Award candidate, which is absolutely amazing because when he started the season and people gave me crap, I said, this is a good 4th guy on the rotation. Well, now he's a number 1 guy on the rotation, and he's backed it up by give me the damn ball and get out of the way attitude.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a really good season. But I asked this question, you just headlined it. Who do you trust in that rotation? I mean, Michael King, in his last 3 starts, John, and that's just sandwiched around the knee injury, coming off the shoulder crisis. His last 3 starts, he's pitched 10 innings. He's given up 12 runs, 17 hits, and he's given up 6 home runs in 10 innings. Can you go to him in a postseason start? That's an issue. Darvish, his last 4 starts, 18 innings, 20 hits for Darvish. He's given up 5 home runs in his last 4 starts. Dylan Cease. Now, I'll put an asterisk next to it. He's had back-to-back good starts. But that was against the Albuquerque Isotopes, a.k.a. the Colorado Rockies.
Right.
Aside from those 2 starts against the Albuquerque Isotopes, Dylan Cease has had 1 quality start in 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
Can you trust him, or you're going to be forced to give him the ball because there's really nobody else? I give credit to Randy Vasquez. He's pitched more innings than he ever has in his life. He threw 123 going into today's game where he threw batting practice, got killed by the Mets. His ERA is going to push close to 4 now by virtue of the home run balls, etc. But if you got to give him the ball in the starting rotation, are you not inviting big trouble? So you can have gold star guys, relievers, but if you don't have starters that are consistent and trustworthy and can't get you to the 5th or 6th inning, I think you got problems going to postseason play. That's my response. You hit the headline, hit it right on the nose. Who can you trust in that rotation once we get beyond the greatness of the Bulldog, Nick Pivetta? John, go ahead.
Isn't it kind of funny how the Padres and Dodgers are the opposite?
Yep.
The Padres can't get the starters in order. The Dodgers are bullpen. Gee, the game today was ridiculous. I mean, Vasquez only goes 2 1/3 innings. They pull him. They put in Peralta, and then Peralta gives up a 3-run homer to Nimmo. And I'm like, why does Vasquez have such a short leash? He rarely gets beyond 4 2/3 before Schilt comes strolling out. And geez, I saw a poll on Twitter or on X, and the question was, of those 4 guys, King, Darvish, Cease, and Vasquez, who do you trust? And the overwhelming response was Vasquez.
He always has a bad inning at virtually every start.
But he fights through it. He battles through it. He's kind of figured out how to kind of, manage the slipperiness and sort of the unpredictability of that 2-seam fastball. So I still think he's got something there if he can corral it. But like Michael King got freaking lit up, and I'm like, why is he doing rehab starts in the post as we're in the pennant race? Why doesn't he in El Paso or some Amarillo somewhere else?
It's a big issue, but I think they feel all his bullpens have been solid. That he again, doing it at the major league level is a lot different than doing it at AAA in a meaningless minor league game. And they want to see how his stuff acts. But he fastballs were up in his zone. And he just got lit. I mean,
Totally.
gave him 4 home runs. It was unbelievable.
What's the thing with King? When he releases that ball, that kind of cross over the body kind of an approach, that ball will turn one way and turn another way on its pathway to the plate. When King's got that ball moving like that, he's unhittable. But right now they're teeing off.
Cease has got all the strikeouts. I mean, he's got his own sense of being a warrior on the mound, but there's no consistency that we're getting from Cease. His ERA is like 4.79 right now. And
well, that happens with pitchers that think they need to strike out everybody on every, then they have the over effort and they make a mistake. You got to be able to, get some ground balls, get some easy outs.
And in terms of Darvish, so much was made out of the one quality start against the Dodgers and the change in the slot location. That was a one-time thing. I've not seen that since that one good start. Don't call me Debbie Downer. I'm just giving you the statistics.
No, this is real. This is the real deal. I hear you.
You're looking at me cross-eyed.
No, but you are Debbie Downer on other categories, and you've had your moments with the Padres. But right now, yeah, I'm worried about this starting rotation. And now suddenly the bullpen, sometimes you kind of wish Jason Adam was still there. He's gone.
Yeah, it's tough.
So, and when they pulled Vasquez out, we were down 2-1 and they rolled out Wandy Peralta.
Should not be pitching the third inning, I don't think.
No,
but that's because David Morgan's not there.
Well,
he's on the deal.
Yeah,
too.
That's true.
And there is no Jason Adam.
Right. So Peralta, I know he's pitched well lately. But, geez, there were times this year you put Peralta in, and it was batting practice.
Okay, you're a Padre fan. Fans Forum chat box is open. You tell me, who do you trust? Don't bag the messenger. I'm just giving you the data and the information. We'd like to hear what you've got to say. Who do you trust in this rotation with just over a week to go in the baseball playoffs? All things baseball. Fans Forum chat box is now open for business. Let's go to the National Football League, and we'll talk about where we were last weekend and what is still to come and what I think is an amazing set of games this weekend. John, let's start with Monday Night Football.
Yeah, the Chargers-Raiders, a matchup. That was it wasn't as big of a battle as we thought.
Well, everybody was hyped with Pete Carroll, home debut, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, etc. At the end of the day, Justin Herbert was vintage Justin Herbert. Gunslinger, making plays all over the field, running with the football, taking a couple of cheap shot hits and getting up and staring and glaring and going back to the huddle and make another great play. Justin Herbert was really a fierce playmaker. But the big storyline was the defense. What Jesse Minter has done, cranked that sucker up with so many athletes they've drafted to run the field and run the system. Defense had 3 picks, 3 sacks, 5 hits on the quarterback, 9 pressures, and 6 tackles for losses on running plays. That's a hell of a night by the Charger defense. Geno Smith looks so freaked out by the pass rush, and it's just not on him, but he was throwing lollipops up there to be picked. He was late on his reads, late on his throws. That's why he got 3 intercepted along the way. They had 218 yards in offense. Nobody in modern day football has 218 yards in offense, but Jesse Minter's defense did that to Chip Kelly's offense, and Chip Kelly looked lost out there. Nothing he was dialing up was working in that game. And the Raider offensive line, which I thought was iffy to begin with, was awful as the night wore on. They could not run the freaking football. Ashton Genty is a beast, but if there's no holes, you can only bounce off people so long. And he got stuffed and he got banged a great deal. And I really thought the pass coverage was really terrible in the secondary. The Raiders they were gassed. Their pass rush went away after the first quarter. They couldn't cover. Chargers had receivers running all over the joint, etc. And then they lose Khalil Mack, and this is a setback. A dislocated elbow on a freak hit, fluke play, kind of got hit friendly fire, hit by his own guy. Going to be gone 4 to 6 weeks at least. So that's a bit of a setback, but they do have so many different athletes out there who can run the football. And the Chargers this afternoon just signed an ex-Raider #1 draft pick, kind of a weird acquisition. His name is Cleve Farrell. Played at Clemson, was a high #1 pick of the Raiders, never quite panned out, has bounced around, was with the Redskins, or with the Washington Commanders, I should say. Farrell's going to come in as kind of a unique pass rusher. He's got some big, rangy, explosive ability. He's not a down-by-down guy. So that's where the Chargers are. And for all the haters out there, Chargers are in first place in the AFC West. Think about that.
That's amazing.
In first place. Because Kansas City's season kind of is in disarray. And the Raiders sure got a lot of work to do, despite Pete Carroll being there in Vegas. And Denver right now is not off to a good start, which kind of surprises me, but they have a long haul. But the Chargers are in first place. Can you believe that? It's more on Jesse Minter and Justin Herbert than it is on anybody else. Okay, John, respond.
Don't get too comfortable in that first place position.
Okay.
It's the Chargers, after all, we're talking about. Something is bound to go wrong. But I'll say this. They looked really good. After the 3 interceptions, old Geno Smith looked like he had PTSD, man. He was like on the bench, just sort of staring into nothingness. And you just like, what the hell happened?
Shell-shocked.
Totally. Yeah. And you love to see Quentin Johnson making strides because, they don't have Josh Palmer anymore. And I was worried they didn't have enough receivers, but they're making it all work, and Herbert looks good out there. I mean, Omarion Hampton hasn't had an amazing game, but he usually gets about 60 to 80 yards, so isn't he something like that?
No, he had a couple good carries. He pounded a few people. He also dropped the ball, and he missed 2 blitz pickups and really got the quarterback decapitated.
Okay.
You're watching through this
rose-colored glasses
powder
or
blue colored glasses.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't know. I mean, it's like the Chargers have looked kind of strong and steady, not like out of control and weird and wild and goofy. It's like they're just in there taking care of business. That's like kind of the sense I had.
They should just walk on the field this coming Sunday when they play Denver. Just hold up a sign that says, "We're coming after you, Bo Nix. What the hell are you going to do about it?" A Charger defense right now is just playing like I've not seen in a long, long time. So you're a Charger fan, somebody from the Raider Nation, feel free. Join us. Fans Forum chat box is open because on this podcast, after we tell you what's gone on, your opinion counts. So you need to jump in here and participate.
We got some guys already jumping in.
Okay, we go from that, looking ahead. Big weekend, unbeaten teams, and not a lot of them left, but we got unbeaten teams facing each other.
Yeah, we got Eagles-Rams to kick it off.
LA Rams, Philadelphia Eagles. Rams are 2-0, and Matthew Stafford is throwing for a ton. He's throwing to Devontae Adams. He's throwing to Puka Nacua, and they're going to face a really rugged Philadelphia defense that gets after it. So Stafford's going to have some challenge because that pass rush is pretty vibrant. But then the Eagles' secondary is going to be challenged because Stafford's got a lot of different bullets in the gun that he can use. They're both 2-0. That's going to be good. Detroit, Baltimore. I told you a week ago the Lions are going to be so angry, and they just beat the hell out of the Chicago Bears. What a matchup. Lamar Jackson against the Lions. We're going to go get you defense. That's going to be a great game. You got Jared Goff coming off a 5-touchdown outing. He's throwing to Amon St. Brown, the running back Jahmyr Gibbs. They're going to face a pretty rugged Baltimore Ravens defense. And Baltimore bounced back after that abysmal collapse in that first game against the Buffalo Bills. So Detroit, Baltimore, that's good. That's big boy football at its best. I don't understand this. How about these teams 2-0? How is Arizona with Kyler Murray being up and down and San Francisco with a backup quarterback and all those injuries? And now Chris McCaffrey's ailing again. How are they 2-0? But Arizona is going to play San Francisco. There's a rumor out there that Brock Purdy may attempt to play this week. I don't know that I would risk that because he's got 2 different injuries. He has practiced a bit. I think I'd just stay with Mac Jones. But they're both 2-0, which is really strange. And the have-nots, Kansas City is 0-2, trying to find help for Patrick Mahomes. And Houston, this is a real surprise. They're 0-2 also. And that's a pretty good team in the AFC South. C.J. Stroud's played well. Nick Chubb has kind of taken over as the lead back. They got all these young wide receivers, and the defense gets after it. But the Texans are 0-2 with 2 late last-second losses there. So those are marquee games on the NFL schedule. So you betting on any of these games? What do you think?
I mean, it's weird seeing the Cardinals up on that board right there. And I'm thinking, how long has it been since they've been good? They made a Super Bowl about 10 years ago or something. But, I mean, they've been awful for so long.
Had stretches under Kyler Murray, but then they had coaching changes. And I think that they've got a lot of ingredients around Kyler Murray. We'll find out. But I'm like, I shake my head and say, Arizona, 2-0. You got to be kidding me.
You can sort of see maybe the Niners creeping in there for 2-0, but not the Cardinals. The other one, the Eagles-Rams game, I've got to believe those are really the top 2 teams in the NFC. I mean,
Well, they were last year, and they played in the snow in Philly, and the Rams almost got it done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so, granted, the teams in the NFC North are good, but really that was the NFC Championship game, wasn't it, last year? So this, to me, is going to be kind of like when we were watching the Chiefs-Eagles last week, Super Bowl matchup. Now we're going to watch this NFC Championship rematch.
I agree. A fun weekend ahead of us. You're an NFL fan, feel free to be part of the conversation. We go from that. Before we get to halftime, we're going to talk a little college football, go a lot of different directions here.
Yeah, here, talk about some of our local SoCal teams.
Let's start with San Diego State. They're coming off a bye week. They have talked tremendous amount about Jaden Denigal growing as a quarterback. We need to see it on the field. We need to see it for 4 quarters of football. We need to see first downs. We need to see scoring drives. It's going to be hard. They're playing Cal. Golden Bears come in at 3-0. Tell you, one of the better coaches on the West Coast that nobody pays any attention to is Justin Wilcox. What a job he has done with the Cal Golden Bears. And for the first time since he's been there in a while, he's got himself a transfer quarterback who's really done very well. We're going to watch Denigal a great deal, obviously, on Saturday night. You need to watch Jaron Sagapolitelli. He graduated school early, went to Oregon as an early enrollee, went through winter term, spring ball, and just saw, I'm not going to be the guy because Dante Moore's in front of me. And he decided to opt out and go back to where he had originally committed, Cal. Starting quarterback, left-handed thrower, a little bit like Kellen Moore, very accurate, and occasionally get it down the field. Sagapolitelli is going to start here. He just engineered a landslide victory over Minnesota, the Big Ten. That was really impressive. The other thing that's unbelievably impressive, Justin Wilcox, of course, played in the NFL, defensive guy. Do you know in the last 2.5 years, they have 55 takeaways in 2.5 years at Cal on the defense, and Wilcox's defense. Yes. Wow. 28 one year, 22 last year, and 5 already this season in 3 weeks. Man, they bring it. And he's got 2 former head coaches on his staff. One is Brian Harsin, who was at Boise State, and the other was Nick Rolovich, who fixed everything that was wrong at Hawaii and went to Washington State, did well, and then COVID hit, and he got involved in the dispute with the administration. Anyhow, those are the right-hand guys to Wilcox. I think it's a really good coaching staff. The other angle to the Aztec story, I'll throw this at you. They are really trying hard to market this program. They spent the whole bye week giving away tickets free to everybody. Get this. They distributed 4,000 free tickets on campus. They're trying to get the people who go to school there to come see the games. And they've upgraded the amount of free tickets the students get. They've added 3,000 more to the 5,000 students already allocated. So they have put out 12,000 free tickets.
Hey.
Then they turned around and they offered every season ticket holder, all 6,600 of them, 2 more free tickets. So, I mean, they're paper in the house. And then they decided at the last minute, we're going to have a flash sale. We're going to take the $65 tickets, which I think is way too high, and we're going to sell them for $15. So they think they sold about 2,000 of those. They're going to try to get a walk-in crowd, create an aura, create some excitement. They're trying really hard, but they're playing Cal. Cal could come in there and run them into the parking lot. It's a real problem. So San Diego State is trying unbelievably hard to get fans to sample the product. The product right now could lose its 3rd game of the season against the Cal Golden Bears. And it goes back to the original thing you and I have talked about, the mishandling of Aztec football right from the get-go in the new stadium and the pricing.
Yeah.
And it's too little, too late. And if you're giving all the tickets away, you're pissing off all the people who invested the big money to come be one of your supporters. I don't know if there's an answer to the situation, aside from winning. Jaden Denigal has to put on a show this weekend and show that he can handle it for 4 quarters, not an odd drive here or there. I'm not bailing on the kid at all because that kid is the future. But that's where we are right now at San Diego State. USC. Trojans are unbeaten. East Lansing awaits. Michigan State is unbeaten. They're both 3-0. Of course, USC compiled their 3 wins against 1AA teams. They're number 1 in the 1AA poll. Mystical. Michigan State's beaten some good people along the way. Interesting matchup. Lincoln Riley trying to regain his credibility with college fans on the West Coast. Jonathan Smith, West Coast guy, rebuilt Oregon State. And the Clue Blues guy took the Michigan State job. They're 3-0. He brought with him a transfer quarterback who had not played, Adam Childs from Oregon State. He is a starting quarterback and playing very well for the Spartans. Now, USC's got big play people everywhere. Jaden Mayava, the starting quarterback, has thrown 5 touchdown passes deep. I'm talking 50 and 60 and 70-yard passes. So they will go down the field. He's also got a really good JUCO running back, Wayman Jacobs, who came from junior college ranks in Kansas. He's one of the leading rushers in the country. So that's a pretty good offense. Now, I caution you, they did that against the Missouri States of the world.
Yeah, cupcakes.
So they're playing the Spartans, which is real deal. So this will be a good test to see how really far along USC is on the comeback trail. And in terms of UCLA, after the disgrace, think about this. Bruins are 117th in the country on defense. 117th. And 121st on offense.
Like, how many teams are there? It's like only
133.
Yeah, that's awful.
That's awful. That's Deshaun Foster's legacy. Yesterday, they fired Deshaun Foster's defensive coordinator. He was asked to leave too. So UCLA's got a bye week this week. They will not play. So that'll be interesting there. Now, there are a couple other good games here. I'll just throw this at you. Big Ten. Illinois is 3-0. They play Indiana 3-0. Good game. Big 12. Utah 3-0. Texas Tech 3-0.
Okay.
So they got a couple of real good games in the Big Ten and the Big 12. So you want to talk about the Aztecs, the quarterbacks? You want to talk about Southern Cal and UCLA? John, do not throw an incomplete pass here with your comments.
There were some interesting comments that you made there. First of all, the Cal thing is weird because they've perpetually been a very down program of football. Yeah, they had a few moments here or there. They had the beast mode guy was playing there. What was his name?
Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch. That's right.
Jared Goff was there.
Yeah.
But Steve Bartkowski was a long time
that's
ago.
way back. Yeah. So there's been some players there, but generally speaking, they've been down. But the way you were describing the new head coach and having the another head coach as an assistant, building that, it reminded me a little bit of how Brady Hoke came to the Aztecs and brought along Rocky Long, and he had like some other like offensive guru, if I remember correctly, when they first assembled that staff. So maybe bright days ahead, but the Aztecs, what they're doing, it just seems like it's the Steve Fisher model, right? Just go out on campus and toss the tickets around. I would think, there's going to be some season ticket holders going to be a little bit irked, because they paid big money and now they're giving them away. But I think most season ticket holders just want the program to be successful.
Yep.
They just want to see fans out there, the team winning. And if this is going to do it, to fill that stadium up and get a little bit of energy for these guys, then great. Let's make it happen.
Well, at the end of the day, they've had an opening day crowd of 13,300 in the building. The last 2 home games at the end of last season, just a shade over 10,000 each of those 2 home games. I reiterate what I said before. They have lost the football community. How they get it back if they're not winning is going to be a challenge. Well, at least they're trying.
But it seems you said a little too little too late.
Yep.
And then just as an aside, it's cool to see the Trojans play the Spartans. It's just a perfect matchup of mascot names, and it's going to be a great game. And this is the kind of Big Ten, kind of power games we wanted to see when USC and UCLA went, to play in the Midwest. So let's see how this one goes.
Yeah, it's a marquee game for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you're into college football. You're an Aztec fan, friend, Aztec for life. Feel free to join us in the conversation. We'll talk Southern Cal. Are there any UCLA fans out there? The greatest things on social media in the last week and a half involving UCLA football. I'll just repeat this if you've not heard it. There was one social media item. We regret to inform you, all your season ticket holders are entering the transfer portal. And the other one this week, after they fired Deshaun Foster, UCLA, congratulations. You are now in last place in the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Mountain West Conference because they lost all those games to all those people from those different conferences.
What a complete train wreck that is.
Yes.
It does. Westwood, fans, they deserve better than this.
We'll see where they go. Hey, we get to halftime. This podcast, in addition to having a lot of topics on the table, is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. Whether it's a project in the home, something on the back patio, maybe something at work, DIXIELINE can fill all your needs. John, take the ball, run with it. Tell us about DIXIELINE.
Take the ball and run with it. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of our friends at DIXIELINE do a lot of great things, and like I said, it's September. We're getting near the holidays, and people want to fix up their homes because their mom or dad or their aunt and uncle or cousins are coming over for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. So you got to get started. You got to paint that bedroom. You've got to, if you're going to do a kitchen remodel, you better get busy, and so our friends at DIXIELINE can help you out. They got experts there that are designers that'll help you with kitchen remodels, with bathroom remodels. And here, let me just pull up some of these kitchen transformations that some of our friends of DIXIELINE have help for homeowners here in San Diego. Some great before and after pictures here for you to look at. But it's really cool, the things that they can do for a homeowner, that are different than what they do for builders and contractors. They service both sides, the trade and the regular consumer. And if you need something for your house, build it, fix it, guarantee you'll enjoy it.
Just go to DIXIELINE.com, see all the things they have to offer. Program note, when we're done with topics on the table, you're invited to join us. It's called Fans Forum. We let you ask questions, make statements, take your shots, offer an opinion. How does Fans Forum work? How do they jump into it? On which of the different platforms they're watching.
Yeah, take a shot. A bunch of guys already piling in. You can get involved if you just drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, X, or on Facebook. I see Hector and Lenny and the one Mr. Smith, and Hitman is in the list, and I Smash One, MT Ryder. I see Dale and Callan and Schickster and a bunch of other folks. So you got a question or comment, get in the live chat, YouTube, X, and Facebook.
Reminder, you like sports? When we're done with this podcast, I want you to go on the internet, check my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. I write on it every day of the week. I write some really opinionated columns called One Man's Opinion. You can access that too, also through the website. You check my website first thing every morning. You'll be amazed at the volume of information that's available. Want you to share, want you to subscribe. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. And if you subscribe, you'll get the alert every time we put some new videos up on the YouTube channel. And we do that quite often during the course of the week. Want you to join my Twitter All-Star team. Just go on X. Just type in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button. That way you can participate in all of my mini polls. I put 2-3 mini poll questions up each night for the sports fans that are out there. So lots of ways for you to join us in addition to the podcast Mondays and Thursdays. Okay, we move to the second half. Boy, there's some hot, late-breaking stories that we're going to touch some nerves on here. John, go ahead.
Okay, we got more updates on this whole Kawhi Leonard controversy. You want to break it down? Yeah,
let's start first of all with what's happened at ESPN. ESPN at noon today broke a story involving people from the NBA that have told them about Kawhi Leonard's deteriorating relationship with every franchise he ever played for. They insinuated that Kawhi and his people bullied, intimidated, and overwhelmed the Clippers with demand after demand after demand, and that the medical people who run the Clippers were denied access to treat Kawhi Leonard's chronic knee problems because of Kawhi's handlers. One general manager told ESPN it was almost as if there was an own set of rules for Kawhi Leonard and a different set of rules and different timetable for everybody else, and said that by virtue of everything that's happened there in the last couple of years, it's almost as if they've destroyed the reputation of the owner, Steve Ballmer. And they say this mimics the exact same thing that happened in San Antonio when that relationship went sour And the Spurs are one of the best-run organizations in the world. And one executive told ESPN, it's like Kawhi Leonard and his people said, F you, San Antonio. We're going to do things our way. And then he went to Toronto, and the same thing happened. And obviously, it's happened again in Los Angeles. Another executive said the Clippers are done with Kawhi Leonard and his people.
Ooh.
What they're trying to do now is save the reputation of the owner. And the owner is really, really offended about this situation. So that's where we are. That story broke just before noon today. ESPN with an investigative piece about all things about Kawhi Leonard and Kawhi Leonard's handlers. Because now we have a deteriorating relationship in San Antonio, which is a classy organization. What happened at the end in Toronto, and what's transpired with all these, quote, side deals in LA. That takes us to the next topic, because this story is not over. Went back and did some checking. Rumors are everywhere. The NBA investigation of Kawhi Leonard and the salary cap intervention has really taken on some real dimensions because of what's called Article 13. Article 13 in the collective bargaining agreement breaks down specifics if you are caught circumventing the salary cap intentionally. The Clippers could be hit with a massive fine. The Clippers could be hit with a $28 million tax bill if indeed they are indicted for using this private company to fund money beyond the salary cap to Kawhi Leonard. They could get hit with a tax bill of $28 million. Ballmer could be suspended for 1 year. The team could be stripped of 5 first-round draft picks. For the first time, there's information out there that Kawhi Leonard, who may have taken part in all this with his demands, could be suspended for 1 year. He could be fined $350,000. He could be ordered to repay the $28 million he illegally got and paid back to the bankruptcy judge.
Wow.
And they could void his $50 million contract and put him on the street as an unsigned free agent when everybody else has spent all their money in free agency. So there are things here that could broadside the Clippers immediately, and there are things here that could be handed down against Kawhi Leonard. That to me is just an absolutely stunning story about the depths of Article 13.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge punch in the nose for both Kawhi and the Clippers if it goes all the way. Do you think maybe Steve Ballmer and some of the secondary owners are thinking, hey, maybe we do get busted, and that way we can just get rid of Kawhi and get rid of his contract?
Well, you get rid of the contract, but look at the sanctions against your team.
Yeah,
it's not like you're letting him walk free, because you're going to pay a penalty if they find the Clippers guilty.
5 first-round picks. I mean, it'll set you back a decade.
Yeah, well, that happened to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they suspended their owner for almost 1 full calendar year, Glenn Taylor, and he eventually sold the franchise. I just have a hard time believing that Steve Ballmer would do anything like this. Subordinates, maybe. Maybe he had no knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, it's weird because Ballmer always struck me as a quality guy.
Sure.
And the same thing with Kawhi. I mean, granted he was here in San Diego for only 2 years, but we all love him here in San Diego, and he was a good fit here. And I know the whole load management became a thing. He was probably one of the first players to start doing that, and that was probably in San Antonio, wasn't it? So, but he's a winner, man. He's been the MVP of the NBA Finals twice, and when healthy, I mean, the guy is still awesome.
But money and power change people. And if you base what the ESPN story is, quoting people about the end of that relationship with San Antonio, what happened in Toronto, and now what's happened in LA, we're connecting the dots here. Are you telling me Kawhi is not involved in this?
Well, it's like, his uncle agent, is he like the Scott Boras of the NBA, trying to strong arm these guys in high leverage negotiation deals?
Bad situation. Bad situation. We'll see where it goes, because the NFL says this probe is not going to go away. And the NFL historically.
The NBA.
I'm sorry, the NBA. NBA historically has taken harsh actions against people that violate the law.
Yeah. This is getting uglier the more information that comes out.
And I think I told you a week ago, I hate to say I told you so. I said, the longer this goes, the deeper it's going to get and the more it's going to happen. We've had about 4 days of stuff where more stuff has exploded.
Nobody likes an I told you so.
That's okay. Some of us are bleeping brilliant, as I told you so.
Right.
Okay, that's all things basketball. Fans Forum chat box is open. You have an opinion about the depths of the Kawhi Leonard LA Clippers story, feel free to get involved. Big week. NHL camps are opening. And boy, there's controversy a bunch of different places.
Hacks always talk puck. Here we go.
Hockey Hotline. Camp has opened. Tell you what, this is a very different Anaheim Ducks camp. And yet it's a camp that just opened today, and there's more controversy. The Ducks have changed radically their roster. They've gone into the marketplace, as you know, in the offseason, because we do talk puck here. And they added guys like New York Ranger Chris Kreider and Mikhail Grunlund, a goal scorer who came from Dallas, Ryan Poling, a gritty checking forward from Philadelphia. And, of course, they already had veteran players like Alex Killorn, who came from Tampa, Ryan Strome, Frank Vetrano, veterans, plus the whole group of young guys that they have drafted, the Troy Terrys and the Leo Carlsons. The Cutter Gauthier came out of nowhere last year, and Mason McTavish. A lot of excitement about the potential of what all these veterans could bring to all the young kids that they force-fed. And now we got this controversy today. Mason McTavish, who scored 60 goals in 2.5 years, young center, restricted free agent, no show.
No show.
They're lowballing him on a contract extension. Pat Verbeek is a hard-nosed, hard-ass general manager who wants it done his way. And the problem is this is just not a Mason McTavish situation, because Verbeek went through the same thing with 2 former number 1 draft picks. You do remember the promising Jamie Drysdale and Trevor Zegras, and he got rid of both of them. He's not going to do this again, is he? He's not going to trade a kid that scored 60 goals in 2.5 years. But that's where we are. Verbeek, he's got to win this year. They got to be in the playoffs. And he's made all these moves to go get these veterans to complement all the kids. And when we wake up this morning, there's no Mason McTavish. I hope this does not end badly, because if he moves McTavish, next press conference might be the end of Verbeek's career in Anaheim. And they seem so close to pushing it over the line to be real good. So as much excitement as us hockey people have towards them building this thing, wow, look at where we are at this hour. I just don't like this McTavish story. John?
Are the Ducks the Bengals of the NHL? I mean, are they cheap, penny pinching, or what's up?
Well, they went through a painful rebuild, and it had to happen because they had a lot of veterans. The year or two that they won the cup, got close to the cup, you pay all those guys, then you're on the hook. Those guys got old, so you go through transition, you rebuild. They've drafted really well, but they were missing pieces. Now they've added these pieces. They're $21 million below the cap. Why are you jerking around with Mason McTavish?
Well, the teams are also getting a lot more revenue.
Sure.
And then 54% goes to the NHL players.
Right.
So I don't understand. And why not just pay your guys? You got the salary cap money. I know. Are they just being, miserly as owners? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think Verbeek is operating with a different set of rules. Now, Verbeek, I will also say this, a year from now, 2 years from now, he's got young guys who are going to be at that same situation as restricted free agents. If you give McTavish a big payday, and a lot of clubs around the league are giving their fourth-year guys big paydays to lock them down. But if you give McTavish a big number, then you got to give Leo Carlson a big number. And you got to give some of these other young guys a big number too.
Well,
a year from now, concur.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. You're a Ducks fan. You're a hockey fan. I am the only one that talks hockey here. So I want you to join me in the Fans Forum chat box. Let's talk about the other team in town. They opened camp today too.
I'm the only one that talks hockey. Here we go.
And if you don't like it, puck you. LA Kings, good headline, on the clock. They've been so close to going deep into the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they just can't get around the roadblock that is Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. They got age, they got experience, they got goal scoring, they got massive expectation, and they got postseason failure, which is their history. It's got to happen. It's got to happen this year. You look at the makeup of the LA Kings roster, and if I throw you these names, these guys score goals. Kopitar, Kempe, Fiala, Philippe Deneau, the emergence of the big young center iceman, Quentin Byfield. They just signed Alex Lafreniere to a contract extension. They obviously have rented a veteran in Corey Perry, but he's hurt now. He just had knee surgery. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. They got a hot young kid coming out of junior hockey, scored 49 goals last year, Liam Greentree. They got a lot of people who can play. They got a lot of mileage on the defense led by Drew Doughty. Father Time is knocking on the door with him. They got a young defenseman in Brant Clark. They got role players on defense. And they think they got the right combo in goaltending in Darcy Kemper and Phoenix Copley. But they've just not been able to get beyond the Edmonton Oilers. And it has to happen right now because Kopitar and Kempe are long in the tooth and they're getting to the end of their contract. So they're good. They just haven't gotten into the second, third round conference championships recently. And you say, how the hell is that possible with all this talent they have? John?
I'm just thinking, you've been involved in hockey for a long time. I mean, you've been a broadcaster at the WHA, the minor leagues. You're kind of connected to the whole slap shot situation, and you've been a fan like since you were a little guy. So what is the craziest, weirdest moment you remember seeing on an ice rink?
Craziest, weirdest. Well, the slap shot brawls when I was in the minor leagues. I'd never, ever seen a whole team come over the plexiglass into the stands. That's one. But, you know, to see playoff games, to broadcast playoff games, I did a game on Easter Eve night that went into the third overtime. I was broadcasting TV, Indianapolis Racers, Cincinnati Stingers, 3 overtimes. Man, it was electric. It was the edge of your seat. It was exhaustive. So yeah, but I love this. I love the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, that's a test of your manhood. Those are all best of 7 series. There's no one game play, and there's no best of 3. It's best of 7, pal. And it is such a grind. And so yeah, I mean, but the hockey brawl in the minor leagues and the one that was portrayed in Slapshot actually happened in our building in Mohawk Valley with the Johnstown Jets. That was the strangest thing ever.
Fighting, you know,
but that's gone away.
But what's that?
Most of the fighting's gone away.
Yeah, but we see quite a bit, and on the highlights, and your colleague Ted Leitner loved to show it on the TV news, but going way back to when you were broadcasting, in the minor league when the slapshot guys were going. Was there like very little fighting and all of a sudden it was just like a brawl?
No, I was in the minor leagues in the late 70s. And
so it had been building, right?
And that's where it took off. And then eventually into the mid 80s, the NHL put into place rules because of the head injuries and because there were obviously the NHL has been slow to respond to concussions, dementia, Alzheimer's and all that, whereas the NFL was forced by the union lawsuit to face it in court. Anyhow, they started to get rid of it. And they got rid of the cheap shots. Or are there still isolated incidents? Sure there are. But it's a much different game. It's a much better game. And, of course, the European invasion came. All the great players came from Europe, and all they did was fly and skate. And you could not have a roster of tough guys because you couldn't keep up with those people who scored goals.
Yeah.
And you couldn't take penalties because they put the puck in the net on you. So the game evolved into the 80s, into the 90s. It's a fabulous game of speed and skill now. Are there still heavy hits? Yes. Are there still occasional fights? Yeah. Are there still guys that step over the line and really do bad things? Occasionally, sure. But 70s was the big bad Bruins. And, the Broad Street Bully Philadelphia Flyers. That was the epitome of when it was really kind of out of control.
Well, when did they make the helmets mandatory in the NHL?
It was graded in if you were a veteran player, you didn't have to wear them. But I would have to say, I want to say late 70s into the 80s, virtually everybody started to wear it. And then everybody started to understand. There was a stigma in hockey that you wore a helmet, you're a sissy. Well, I mean, it was stupid. But when the Euros came here, they all wore helmets.
Yeah.
And then obviously more and more came. The NHL decided from a safety situation to go ahead and do it. And then the guys started to wear shields, and there was that same stigma. What the hell are you wearing a shield for? Well, if you saw a couple of players lose their eye because of got hit in the face with a puck or an accidental high stick, and now obviously they wear throat guards now because we've had players who've suffered severe injuries. The player in England that died 2 years ago with an odd skate cut, an accident. So I mean, the safety of the game is much better, much because of the equipment, but it's a very different process. I mean, I never saw it when I first broke into the minor leagues. That I never saw hockey without helmets. But early on my first broadcast couple of years in the minor leagues, guys did not have to wear helmets, and they didn't wear helmets. And it was a rugged, tough game at that point in time. That was in the minor leagues.
Well, it's interesting how a lot of the sports have been slow to adopt that, because
Mhm.
baseball went without helmets for a long time. Even football was like what the leather helmets for a while.
Yeah, but that goes back to the
Yeah,
1940s.
but it's just interesting how each of these sports evolve, but they're people, the athletes are faster, stronger, and then you're going to need protective gear.
Yeah, I mean, and the game is much better now. But it's like all things in sports. I mean, auto racing was horribly dangerous. NASCAR and Formula One and IndyCar, fires and deaths, but the death of Dale Earnhardt changed everything in NASCAR.
Oh yeah,
In terms of the neck harnesses, the helmets, etc., the infrastructure, the roll cages, and we saw the same thing. Indianapolis had terrible time in the 60s and 70s with crashes and fires and guys getting burned to death in cars. And Indy 500 was terrible. And they slowly but surely changed all that, fuel cells and then equipment. And, now the Indy 500 guys run with a cockpit over them, so you can't have debris in a tire come back into your cockpit.
right on.
And Formula One is the exact same thing. So it's all evolvement of safety.
Yeah, oh good. Yeah, it's interesting topic of discussion.
Some of the topics here, sometimes we might need to wear helmets and shields too. Okay,
right.
You got an opinion on the Kings, on the Ducks, on the NHL? Feel free, jump on board. And by the way, if you're a hockey fan, you need to go back and find it on Google it. My hockey review of the movie Slapshot. We did this the first year we were doing the podcast. I don't know the number of people that have viewed it. John would know. It's ungodly how many hockey fans have viewed it. But how do they find it? Is there a Google?
Yeah, just
Lee Hacksaw?
Lee Hacksaw Hamilton Slapshot, and I'm sure it'll come up in the Google index.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing.
But it's awesome. Yeah, and you just had a lot of really interesting insight to some of the things that happen in the movie.
Yeah, so if you like hockey, check that out when we're done on this podcast. But Fans Forum chat box is open. You need to wear a helmet right now. Fire a Slapshot, though. Last topic on the table before we let you take over the rest of this podcast, John.
Yeah, the high-speed sports wire. We're going to start with tennis.
Let's talk about this. I don't know why he did this. Bjorn Borg is just in the process of releasing a biography of his career, of his life. And it's kind of stunning. Bjorn Borg was just a superstar out of Sweden. And Bjorn Borg elected to tell stories at the front end of his biography about drug addiction, about cocaine, about what a bad person he was early on in his life and bad people he ran with late in his career, and how, despite the greatness of all the things Borg did on the tennis court at Wimbledon during that era of superstars, Connors, McEnroe, Borg, etc., how he lost interest. He was more interested in getting high on cocaine than he was winning a Grand Slam event. It's kind of a really weird story about people he ran with and why. I don't know why he projected that in his book, but that book is getting played. I found it by accident in the London Times. It was a book review just this past week. I said, wow. Anyhow, that if you're into tennis, it's a tell-all story about Bjorn Borg. Formula One. We talk a lot F1 here. Race junkie. Remember the movie? You haven't gotten out of the house yet to go see the F1 movie with Brad Pitt?
No, I remember you saw it when it came out.
Oh, it's pretty good. You need to get out of the house, John.
Too busy editing your videos.
Anyhow, the F1 movie with Brad Pitt, first 3 months, grossed $610 million globally.
Right
now,
on.
It's a global event.
Still, it's all right. Yeah.
The highest grossing sports movie ever.
Cool.
I didn't have time to go find out which is the second, third highest. Somebody told me they thought Rudy might have been right up there, and maybe a baseball one, but $610 million over the first 3 months. That's pretty impressive. Third topic, Team Red Bull. Nobody gets along with anybody, yet they continue to win. So they got Max Verstappen as their superstar, and they're trying to find a young driver to complement Max Verstappen, the superstar. Well, they started with a young 18-year-old Liam Lawson, and they demoted him after 2 races. He had done so poorly at F1, and there was a big backlash about, you put him in this place, kid wasn't ready, and now you're demoting him. They replaced him with a Japanese driver. They just got rid of him, Yuki Tsunoda. He didn't do any better than Liam Lawson. So they have a third driver from Scandinavia that they think they're going to put in the seat. He's a young guy. He's only 18. His name is Isaac Hadjar. But Verstappen has taken Hadjar under his wing and trying to train him and work with him during the second half of the season and testing, etc. So Red Bull is reaching to try to find the next guy to plant alongside Verstappen. NHRA, Hot Rod Association, dragsters.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
The snake and the mongoose.
Yeah. Tony Stewart, great IndyCar driver, became a legend in NASCAR, retired from NASCAR, went to drag racing, formed his own team, has had some success. Here's a really interesting story, just broke today. Tony Stewart, who owns this NHRA team, has decided to step out of that cockpit on his team and go to another team called Elite Racing. He's going to run for them next year. He's giving the keys in his cockpit to his wife. His wife is Leah Pruitt. She's a former driver, was very successful.
Hell yeah.
Took a year away on maternity leave. So Tony Stewart's one of the most eclectic, unique guys in NASCAR that I've ever dealt with. But he's going to drive for somebody else while his wife runs and drives his team. Other item? Hell, I don't know. I might not even show up here next Thursday to do next week's podcast. Ryder Cup, Bethpage Black, Long Island. I want to watch that on TV. I'm pretty amped to see this Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, which is like 7,300 yards long. I mean, you got to hit it. So you got Scotty Scheffler, who's got 15 wins now in the last 2 years on the PGA Tour.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy is right. You got Xander Schauffele, who's still trying to right himself after injuries and sickness. You got Patrick Cantlay, who's gotten hot again after being MIA most of the season. You got J.J. Spawn. It's taken him a long time in his career. He's kind of become a solid guy on the tour. And you got Bryson DeChambeau coming back from LIV, who's qualified to play for Team USA because of the point standings. So that's Team USA. That's a pretty good side. But on the other side, they got Rory. And I just question for Rory McIlroy, which Rory shows up? Is it the guy that won the Masters that hasn't done much since that point in time? Is he going to be dialed in mentally? They got John Rahm. They got the Englishman, Justin Rose, who's had a great year. They got everybody's drinking buddy who just won, Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They got the Scandinavian, Oberg. They got the guy from Sweden, Hovland. So and Robert McIntyre from Scotland. I'll tell you, the European side that's a really good roster that McIlroy's got as teammates to go against Scotty Scheffler. I did not realize till today, the Europeans have won 10 of the last 14 Ryder Cups.
Wow, that's a beatdown.
Yeah, it really is. So that's going to be fun. That starts next Thursday. Bethpage Black, way out on Eastern Long Island. Very long, very, very tough course. So if you like golf, I mean, we're getting to the end here of the schedule, but Ryder Cup is kind of cool playing for the flag. And you and I have barked back and forth about we don't like the LIV concept of all the gimmicks and junk team play.
You don't.
Well, okay. There's a lot of things in the world I don't like. But here's the thing. Ryder Cup, they play medal play, they play best ball, they play foursome, and they play alternating shots. So they have 4 different formats for the 4 different days.
Yeah,
so
right on.
It's really cool. But it's a one-time event thing. It's always been part of the Ryder Cup. It's not radically different like the LIV tried to reinvent the freaking game over there in Saudi Arabia. So Ryder Cup is really cool. So John, you want to talk about Borg? From Borg through auto racing to golf.
Yeah, I know you're talking that story about Borg on cocaine playing tennis. And it kind of makes me think of Doc Ellis on LSD.
Throw a no-hitter.
Throwing for the Pirates against the Padres, by the way. And every once in a while you'll hear some of these old timers talk about, this sort of thing back in the 70s and early 80s where guys were out there on the field just wasted,
Buzzed.
Yeah, well, more than buzzed. I mean, and if it wasn't on coke or they were drunk, it was something else, some kind of, other kind of, pill popping sort of thing. So, I mean, it's just crazy to hear that sort of thing. But
that kind of denigrates his history, though, his legacy. I mean, everybody viewed him as a great star. Granted, he walked away at age 25.
He did. Yeah, he was very young.
And he says, that's the byproduct. I didn't give a crap anymore about winning a Grand Slam. I only cared about getting high. And he's age 60 now. He's probably got a lot of regrets. He's like, there's another tennis star, Boris Becker.
Oh, yeah.
Germany, great star. I mean, his life dissolved into bankruptcy and divorces and he's just I've seen him on camera recently. It's just terrible what his life became when he had all the riches of the world and he was such a popular guy for a short period of time. But why Borg would tell-all book, put all that in his book?
Well, it's cool that he's telling the story, but there's a lot of dirty laundry in there. So the F1 movie, good, 600 mil at the box office. That's great. But it's still like, whenever they do that, they talk about how much money a movie brings in, at this snapshot in time, that's good because you can compare it to what you spent and what the profit is. But it's apples and oranges comparing movies in history, like when Rudy came out 20 years ago, and we could come up with all these other sports movies that have earned a lot, but ticket prices were a lot cheaper then. But what did you think about Robert Redford passing away? I mean, he's talking about a sports movie guy.
Let's talk about a legend and what he meant to all things Hollywood. I tried to make a list on social media. I put one of Hacksaw's mini poll questions. What's the greatest Redford movie you ever saw? And he had I had 12 on the list. You can only list 4 of them in my mini poll. So I had All the President's Men, The Natural, The Sting, and The Way We Were.
That's Well, what else is in there? It's like The Candidate. Yeah. And did you have the one about the Watergate?
That's All the President's Men.
That's All the President's Men.
Yeah,
okay.
That to me was number 1 on my list.
Oh, there's Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid.
Cassidy was in there. That was one of the final 4. So which would you pick? All the President's Men, Butch Cassidy, The Natural, or The Sting?
Well, I'm a sports fan, and I've always loved The Natural. I can watch that over and over again. And but even all the other movies are great. And Robert Redford always sort of had this sort of
folksy
kind of aw shucks, kind of a way of going about things. Hardworking guy, ethical guy, and he kept that brand image in his personal life and his professional life outside of Hollywood. So yeah, we lost a great one. But didn't he do auto racing movies, or was that Paul Newman?
It's Newman.
That was Newman. Okay.
Yeah. But he did so much for so many people in Hollywood. And then he moved to Utah, away out of the aura of Hollywood. And he founded the Sundance.
Oh, movie festival.
Yes.
Independent movies.
And that what he's done for so many people globally. I mean, I went back and I read some obituaries in the New York Times and some of the national stuff. They were just phenomenal human being. And I had forgotten he was 89 years of age. He lived a hell of a life.
Oh yeah. That's a historic life in terms of what he accomplished.
So you got to get out of the house, though. You got to go see the F1 movie this weekend. Come on.
I do. I got to go see it.
Okay, that's all things. A lot of topics on the table because we kind of do a different podcast. And if I need to put a helmet on, he needs to put his goggles on. That's okay. Fans Forum is just around the corner. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, they got materials. You want ideas, they can help you. Just go to DIXIELINE.com, see all the things that they have to offer. John, we touched a lot of hot buttons today. I bet we got a few people with opinions. Go ahead. Fans Forum is about to begin.
Yeah, there's a lot of baseball comments in here. There's a lot of hockey. And so let's kick it off here with some Dodger talk from Dale. He goes, LOL, the Dodgers may not be able to buy a championship.
Well, if they don't get there this time, people are going to say, see, we told you about the evil empire. See? But this decimation of the pitching staff, last year's starters, and they got a ring, this year's relief pitchers, which could be fatal to them. I went back and did a check today. Their payroll is $383 million, right?
Oh, that's all.
That's all. Their luxury tax is $167 million. They owe baseball $167 million luxury tax October 1st.
Holy crap.
And if they don't get the World Series ring again,
yeah, but they're still making bank, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're selling that place out, and tickets are expensive at Dodgers.
But here's the issue. If they don't get to the World Series, and I'll pose the exact same question to Padre fan, if this team does not go in San Diego deep into the playoffs, it's a season of disappointment. It's a season of underachievement. I don't take anything positive from this season if they can't go deep with all the stars they have and the money they spent. No or yes?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously you expect the big payroll teams to be up there, but more often than not, we're seeing a lot of teams that aren't necessarily big spenders that are winning these things. So Who knows? I mean, you get into because the Dodgers are probably not going to get a bye. They're going to be the number 3 seed. So that means they're going to have to play a 3-game series at Dodger Stadium. Anything could happen. And you just have like one bad game and suddenly you're down 0-1 and you're slipping down the hill and it's over.
Well, then you got the ancillary argument over the next week and a half that we're going to have. What are we doing with Ohtani? Now, I mean, they have a gold standard starting rotation. Let Ohtani pitch 1 inning out of the bullpen in the most critical point. I mean, that's fascinating to me.
Well, they can't. You can't have him do bullpen because then logistically, you can't get out to the bullpen and warm up and then get back in the dugout in time for your next at bat. He has to start or not at all. Or you have him relieve and not hit. But you're not going to do that.
He's got 51 home runs. You're not taking him out of batting order.
I mean, but still, what a treat it is to be alive when he's alive.
Yeah.
I mean, because this guy literally is unlike any other athlete I've ever seen.
Okay, let's see what other Dodger and Padre fans have to say here. Go ahead, fire away.
Fire away. Okay. And this is from MT Rider 91. They're cursed by Mark Walters.
He's talking about Dodger ownership, etc. They got the resources. I mean, they sure have accumulated tremendous diamonds on that roster, and have sure been battered by injury 2 years in a row. I don't know. I guess he's counting the Dodgers out. He says this is the way it's going to be. They're going to wind up losing. It's going to be fatal. This bullpen is going to be fatal to Dodger baseball. How about that? Wouldn't that be a topic?
What happens is the Padres are the cursed team. The Dodgers will stumble and bumble, but they'll still end up winning in spite of themselves.
But they earned it. I mean, if you stumble and bumble, I mean, they earned that World Series last year when they went bullpen days against the Padres and beat them. So they earned it.
They definitely earned it. You got to tip a hat to that. But yeah, I mean, LA has if you look at all of sports, like you talk about the Rams and the Dodgers and the Lakers and everything going on. I mean, they just got trophies coming out the wazoo.
Okay.
They're not cursed. Okay. Let's keep on moving. There's a bunch of more Dodger stuff. I'm going to bounce around and let's go to Hitman. He goes, hey, the Padres' problem is not pitching. It's hitting with runners in scoring position.
The batting order is an issue. It's so streaky. Everybody right now is running around the streets. Hey, Machado, he's hot. Well, that's granted because he hit a bunch of home runs against the Albuquerque Isotopes pitching staff.
He had a grand slam last night.
Exactly. So he's got to hit for power, and he's not hit for power. Tatis has hit a little bit more for power, but nobody else has. Now, as great as Laureano was at trade deadline, Laureano went into a hole, was 4 for 34. And as good as O'Hearn has been in spurts, O'Hearn was 3 for 31 within the last week or so.
Yeah.
So it's a problem. But to me, the bigger issue, who is your starting pitcher once you give the ball to somebody aside from Nick Pivetta? That, to me, Hitman, is who are you going to trust in that rotation? Because at this point, I don't think you can trust anybody. Cease has got the strikeout performance and the experience. He's also got an ERA of 4.59. And at this point, Vasquez, at this point, Darvish does not look like Darvish. I think they got a lot of issues beyond Pivetta, who I think is a peripheral Cy Young Award candidate.
Well, they're going to need a surprise. Last year it was Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. He was just lights out in the playoffs, and no one really expected that. And so the Padres are going to need something like that. But I just want to make one other comment here about the batting order. Padre Twitter, their heads have been exploding. I mean, every day, they win or lose. It's like an emotional train wreck on Padre Twitter, all the fans interacting. And there's this one dude online, his name's Brent. And Brent is, you talk about a negative Nelly, I give you a hard time. This guy is so negative on the Padres. He's almost like poking the Padre fan just to piss him off. But anyways, he always makes a valid point about lineup construction with the Padres, where you have a rise in the 2-hole, and he has the second worst OPS of any of the 9 guys in the batting order. And the only one that's worse is Freddie Fermin, who bats 9th. So why is a rise continuously rolled out in that number 2 spot?
That's a good question. He does put the ball in play, but he has no slug at all.
His OPS is like 702. I mean, it's below league average.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, his batting average is lower than it historically has been the last 3 years. But if he doesn't get a single, he doesn't do anything.
But if he gets singles and gets on base and he creates stuff for guys behind him.
But he's not doing that. I mean, that's the point.
Not to the point of hitting 338.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it just makes you wonder. And then meanwhile, Cronenworth is secretly, sort of quietly, having a decent year.
Last 15 minutes, yes.
So there's the Debbie Downer again.
Your buddies on Padres social media, any of these guys watch our podcast?
Some of them do.
Well, some of them you need to tell all of them to get off their ass and get on the air and fans forum here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's keep on going and let's talk to our friend Lenny. He goes, Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner are the dynamic duo for the Golden Knights this year. Can't wait. Love your broadcast. Go VGK, go Pots.
We do talk a lot of puck here. It's going to be interesting. They're trying to get Eichel signed to a contract extension. You know, there's this storyline kind of in the shadows right now with NHL camps open today. The unsigned guys. I mean, just think about this. Kiprusoff in Minnesota, Connor McDavid in Edmonton, Eichel in Vegas. Those are all $14, $15, $16 million per year players, and each of them is waiting to see what the other guy gets. I don't know how much longer this is going to go, what kind of distraction it's going to be, which is going to be the first guy to sign. I think Eichel will be the first guy to sign for whatever the number is, and that'll be interesting what Connor McDavid does versus what the guy in Minnesota does. There's a lot of pressure points in Minnesota. That Bill Guerin, the president and general manager, should trade Kiprusoff right now. It's a 50-goal scorer, 40-goal scorer. Trade him because you can't bankrupt your team. I mean, if you don't have that kind of money to pay one guy 16 mil, or he's already turned down 16, he wants even more.
Or of the three guys you mentioned, none of them are unrestricted free agents, right?
It will be a year from today.
A year from today. Okay, so it's an extension, going into the final year of the deal. Okay, because some of those names, I can't imagine they would just be sitting around on the open market, The
question is if an agent's going to take a player and try to push it to 17 mil or 19 mil per season, how many clubs can afford that?
They're making more bank, man. Everyone's making money.
Yeah, but everybody's contract goes up based on what the last star got.
Yeah, but that happens in all the sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hockey hotline is always open for you. You join us again, Lenny.
Okay, here's an interesting breaking news from Hector. He goes, Lee, it was just announced Clayton Kershaw will retire at the end of the season. What is your favorite memory? I won't ask John because we know it's his crying Kershaw.
He's just a warrior. He stands for so many great things as a pitcher, as a player, as a person. I gravitate towards guys who are cooperative with the media, and he has been. I gravitate towards guys who do a lot of stuff in their community from a charitable foundation, and he does that thing in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas, does the same thing in LA. He's just a superhuman being. And then just the dedication of coming back from all the injuries and all the surgeries late in his career to still be dominant. He should win the Comeback Player of the Year award. So I think he's a great citizen. Obviously, you dial up his career statistics, wins, losses, ERA, that's Hall of Fame credentials in Cooperstown. Think about that.
Yeah. Okay. As a guy that was raised as a Giants fan and is now converted to be a Padre fan, Clayton Kershaw is like one of those guys that you want to hate, but you can't think of any real good reason to hate him.
Except to beat your ass.
Yeah. Except he beats our ass and he wears blue, So I don't know. Just for me, I just, the unusual windup always stood out to me. The way he sticks his arms way in the air and that curveball, the break on that curveball was unbelievable. You think about some of the injuries and things he's had, his career's really sputtered here at the end.
I always wanted him to go out on his own terms. But I hate to see a guy go out with a record of 2-9 that can't get anybody out. Yet he's going out on his own terms. He came back and he's willed himself. What's his record? 11-2, 11-3?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hell of a player. I mean, he's right up there on the Mount Rushmore of all-time Dodger pitchers.
Yep. Thank you. That's a really great comment, Hector. Thanks for being with us.
Okay. And let's go here. The one, Mr. Smith, there's two pieces to this. I want to put them both up. The first is, like what I saw of Edwin Sheehan, he has an arm for starting, but the Dodgers have no one dependable in the bullpen. I've already had my say about Roberts, but come on, guys. Friedman's done miracles. And then he follows it up and says, the Dodgers have driven pitchers into the ground from Roberts' first day. They've been a wasteland for pitchers. There are a few who are standing up to Roberts. Roberts is expendable. Had to say that.
Well, they might make him expendable, but, they gave him a contract extension. I don't think they're going to eat 5 years of his future contract. Sheehan is interesting. There's a train of thought that I got that instead of all this conversation about Ohtani maybe being a one-inning closer, they put Ohtani in the rotation and let Sheehan go back to the bullpen because Sheehan's got velocity, that he could be a long reliever, or maybe he's a trustworthy one-inning guy when you need a closer. Because I can't trust these other guys in the bullpen right now. I mean, as good as Treinen has been in chunks of his career, as dynamic and overpowering as Tanner Scott was here in San Diego, you can't trust these guys in postseason play. So maybe Sheehan is the guy that gets flipped and Ohtani goes back in and stays in the rotation. Keep an eye on that storyline.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the Dave Roberts criticism, because we knew him here in San Diego. I mean, you have a relationship with him. I know, but he's a good dude, so, but there are a lot of, criticism of how he manages the game and how he manages that staff.
But is that him or is that coming from upstairs? Because all the analytics guys just give him the sheet of this is what we recommend you do in certain situations.
Well, do we know the answer to that question?
Well, I think that is the answer.
That is the answer. Okay. So you think he's got one arm tied behind his back?
Well, I just think it's corporate.
So all the nerds like on computers are telling him what to do?
Yeah. This is how we run all the stuff through the computer.
Well, they should fire the nerds. I mean, the way that bullpen has just been blowing up and all the pitching injuries, I mean, it's clearly not working.
But there's no way to go get pitching now. This is what you have. This is on your roster. There can be no acquisitions or additions after September 1st. This is who you're going to dance with when you get to postseason.
The one Mr. Smith said that, Friedman works miracles.
Not now. He can't.
No, but what has he got now?
He didn't do it at the trade deadline.
I think the starters just got to go 9, go play some old school baseball.
Or Blake Snell just stand on the mound and say, no,
right. Well,
it's my game. You're not taking me out of my game.
But that's always, by the way, an interesting dynamic when a pitcher is removed and to see the emotion. And, there's a certain baseball code, that a pitcher is not supposed to
show up the manager.
Yeah.
But there's a stare and a glare.
Yeah. And it's you're not sure they're friends or they're enemies. It's just a weird vibe.
Well, that happened to Blake Snell in Tampa. They took him out of a game in which he was dominating with the Tampa Bay Rays. And
that was in the World Series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, at a meltdown.
Yeah.
Steam was coming out of his ears.
Because that's when they would only have him go like 5 innings.
That's right.
Because you need to go 100 pitches in 5 innings. Yeah. So, all right. Keep moving. Okay, let's go here. Our friend Callan. This afternoon, gents. What's the big NHL training camp questions in your mind? Crosby's future in Pittsburgh, something in Anaheim or LA? Reaction.
Well, we just talked about this whole Mason McTavish situation in Anaheim. No show in camp today. They can't screw this up. The kid deserves money. He deserves state-of-the-art money. If other fourth-year guys are getting it, then he's scored 60 goals in 2.5 years. Or I should say 3.5 years. He deserves a payday. I hope they don't trade him. But, Pat Verbeek, he's been tough to deal with. I mean, he got rid of Drysdale, which shocked me. He got rid of Trevor Zegras, which really stunned me in the offseason trade. Geez, I don't think you can afford to trade him. That's one item. Is there a homecoming coming for Sidney Crosby? Is he going to wind up in Montreal, which has got cap space and a lot of young players, but they don't have a star? Maybe that's going to happen. I also think, what is life like in Toronto after Mitch Marner? Half the Maple Leaf fans said, yeah, he's like Juan Soto, Mr. Me, Myself, and I. He scored all those goals, 223 goals in his career. Did they ever freaking win anything in Toronto? The answer has been no. So there'll be a void there because that goal scoring is going to be gone. So the pressure on Austin Matthews is greater now than it's probably ever been, even though he scored 60 goals a couple seasons ago for the Maple Leafs. So just off the top of my head, those are storylines I think you need to probably pay attention to.
I love how the fans connect with you using your gloss, right? And here, reaction, when did you cook that one up?
Just off the top of my head, just kind of when you're doing sports talk radio, my whole theory was, here's all the information, here's the opinion, and then, by the way, I want to push a hot button to get you to react, get you to respond, get you to get off your ass and get on the phone. So I started that, reaction. And then the other one, I stole a phrase from somebody in England. What say you? There's a little angst when I delivered that. So, yeah.
Well, it's classic stuff.
It's called shtick.
It's shtick, but the beauty of it is
you are right. I am bleeping Brody.
Well, you are, and it's cool though that you can just be hanging out with some dudes watching game, drinking beer, and you could slip in a little hacksaw shtick into the conversation, and they get it, and everyone knows.
No, because cool. they say it before I even think about saying it. I don't say it. That's like the people that when I do grocery shopping yell at me. I'm at the meat counter. Show me your lightning bolt.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hacksaw on the wild. Okay, let's go to Flegel. He goes, Jared Goff resuscitated a dead career start in Los Angeles and is building an impressive offensive power in Detroit. Your opinion on how this happened? Any historical comparisons?
I think that good team around him. He grew up on the job. Dan Campbell mandated, you will do this way. And he became a winner, but they put good people around him and he was not getting beat up all the time. And then they played great defense. So he was always in games and had the chance to win. Right player, right set of circumstances. And there was nothing wrong with the guy that was there. I mean, that turned out to be a win-win trade for both. I mean, the Rams got a leader and a veteran in Matthew Stafford, and Detroit got a younger guy who became part of the rebuild under a firebrand coach and Dan Campbell. So Goff to Detroit, it's really been special. And both teams have got really good players around him. Matthew Stafford played behind just horrific lines in Detroit, just got pounded. And Goff was a young quarterback learning on a job as the Rams are trying to rebuild. So they both arrived new locations, both got good coaches. I mean, I bet Sean McVay's had a big impact. His fingerprints are also on Matthew Stafford's success, like Dan's fingerprints are on Goff.
Yeah, it was one of those win-win trades for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, the historical comparisons that Flegel asks about. You hear stories about baseball players sort of reinventing themselves as a new player and come out and they have a second life.
Mm-hmm.
But in football, I'm trying to think of an example of that. I don't know, would Steve Young fit that category? Because when he was with Tampa, he wasn't that good, but the team around him wasn't that good.
They were terrible. And he was a left-handed running quarterback rather than a passing quarterback. And he went to San Francisco and got involved with Bill Walsh and everybody else there. And then they put good people around him and they refined him as a quarterback. And he became a great player. Normally, though, you're thinking about guys' second careers, it's somebody who's been old or injured, has come back and done very, very well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example of that.
Off the top of my head, I can't. At this point, I can't just pull that out of the sky. But
it's actually a modern day example of this. I think is Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
He was like on the edge of a cliff, about to have no more career in the NFL, and now look at him.
He was with 3 different clubs and had no success.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland was an organizational failure. He wasn't ready. And you forget that he was with the Rams. You forget he was with Carolina. He goes to Tampa. Suddenly, that's a good team around him. And the one thing Tampa had not had was a catalytic quarterback. I mean, because they had Mike Evans and they have Chris Godwin and they have tight ends they throw to and they play lights out defense. All of a sudden, Baker Mayfield winds up in the Buccaneer colors and he's got good people around him. He's never had this before. And he's always been a winner. I'm going back to his college days. I mean, he obviously carried Oklahoma. So now he's quite a player. I think he's quite a guy. He's quite a leader too.
Troy Aikman talks a lot about Baker Mayfield during the broadcast. I guess they are friends off the field. So it's interesting to hear that perspective about Baker Mayfield being a competitor, and he's like a linebacker, in a quarterback body. He's kind of has that mindset. It's pretty special.
Yeah, and Aikman talks about Baker Mayfield, not just the player, Baker Mayfield, the person.
Yeah.
Because I got friends still in Cleveland. I say he was a hell of a guy in Cleveland, just not a very good situation to be around him. So, but Baker Mayfield's made himself into a star. He's got a big payday too, and he's got a pretty good football team around him.
Yeah, by the way, I like those TV commercials where he was like living in the Browns stadium.
Yeah.
Who was that? State Farm? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, they fix the water over here.
Yeah, that was
they
pretty
pick
fun.
up the trash here, and he's got persona.
Yeah, he does.
He really does. Okay, move on.
Okay, let's go here to Emmanuel. He goes, the salary cap is BS. I think we're talking about Kawhi Leonard. Just pay them what they're worth. If cheap owners can't afford players, then maybe they should sell the teams.
Yeah, but you could say that about baseball. And we got 6 to 8 to 10 teams in baseball that aren't paying anywhere near the amount of salary a lot of these other franchises are, and they're all getting revenue money. I mean, they're getting TV contract money and revenue stream money and revenue sharing. and they're just not spending it. So there's a bad disparity in baseball. The differences in the NBA and the NFL and the NHL, they all have a cap or a luxury tax at the top, but they also have a floor to spending where everybody's got to spend close to that bottom figure. Baseball does not have that, which is why I think there's terrible disparity and a lot of anger in baseball. But at the end of the day, you cannot have people circumventing the rules as it relates to the NBA salary cap. And that's why the depths of this Kawhi Leonard thing seem to be getting deeper and deeper and worse as we go day by day, week by week here. And the stuff that just came out today from ESPN, I mean, it paints Kawhi Leonard and his people in a really, really bad light. So we'll find out what's fact or fiction. But the NFL has really dealt severely with anybody violated the NBA bylaws as it relates to draft picks, salaries, etc. So something bad could be happening to the Clippers if they're of the opinion that Steve Ballmer was part of this. I just have a tough time signing off that Ballmer would do anything illegal because he's been such a great businessman and a great citizen. I don't think he's corrupt. There's a bunch of people that are bad citizens that own franchises that made a lot of money but are bad people.
Just a tangent to this. We were just talking about Robert Redford, and I was watching an excerpt of one of All President's Men, and it was about the money passing hands, and did it go to the committee to reelect the president and all this stuff.
Follow the money.
But in this case here, it's similar, because if it wasn't for the Clipper, not Ballmer, but the other owner, like having to pull $2 million out of his pocket, to give to this forest company to pay Kawhi. If it wasn't for that, I think you could have some plausible deniability, that there was an arm's length distance between all of this. But I think if you're if you're an agent or you're a player, you're going to try to get as much as you can. I get that. We all do that in life
within the rules.
Within the rules. But I mean, if they said, "Hey, man, we can get you $30 million a year," and by the way, this other company, they're real friendly with the Clippers, they're helping sponsor our stadium, we could probably get them to help kick in another 20.
But you can't circumvent the rules.
But see, to me, if they did that, they just sort of helped kind of bridge an endorsement deal. As long as it's not Clippers money going to it, it's some other company's money, then I think it's totally fine. But if it's the Clippers money that's going outside and then coming back in, then it's like money laundering, and that's an evasive move.
The owners passed the bylaws that we're not going to allow circumvention. This is the cap, and the New York Knicks and the Cavaliers and the Portland Trailblazers and San Antonio, we're all operating here.
But brokering a relationship between a player and an endorsement contract is not circumvention. That's just networking.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you know August 16th of next year, I'll be looking for a new co-host to do this podcast because John is going to circumvent the income tax rules and will probably be in prison. But it's all about him making money, even though the IRS code is this. Jeez, John, you drive me nuts.
Okay, yeah, I do. All right, let's go here to Michael. And he says, will the Vegas Golden Knights win their division this year?
They're really good, really deep. Now they get Mitch Marner and all that firepower. I guess the only question I have is, does Vegas have the right goaltending? The goaltending has been skitterish. That's been a big issue. But they've had some injury problems too, especially on the defensive side. They've had a bunch of guys get hurt in the last couple of years, but they're really good. But until you take out the Florida Panthers, you're not a Stanley Cup winner. And Florida's damn good, and they got virtually all their guys back, although Tkachuk is not going to start the season because of that sports hernia injury. But so it's a grind of a season.
Our good friend Lenny, it always follows us and comments on the videos. He's a big Vegas guy, and he loves talking about his Golden Knights. But how long have they been in the league? It's only been about 4 years or so.
No, it's been more than that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, 7 or 8, but they had success just like that.
They did, and they had all the Vegas showmanship. I remember when they first broke ground as a franchise. It was like they rolled out, Caesar's Palace, the dancing girls and everything else. Are they still doing that?
Yeah. I mean, it's an event.
Yeah.
But everything in Vegas at a red stoplight is an event.
Well, you've been hearing about the economy in Vegas kind of taking a downturn.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that's going to affect some of these pro teams.
I don't think so. Fans have money to spend on their teams, and they spend it on their teams.
Yeah, they do.
But it's going to be intriguing. I don't pay as much attention to Vegas as I pay, obviously, to the LA Kings and what the Ducks could become. And Kings got to get this done. I mean, the Kings are right there, and they've been right there for 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, and just have not been able to get around Edmonton. And now the Kings, as we did on the hockey segment, the Kings are really on the clock. I mean, it has to happen immediately here. They have so much age and so much money tied up in these veteran players. But listen, we'll talk hockey week by week because we like puck here.
Hockey Hotline. Okay, let's go to Just Good Sports. He goes, hey, we need sports more than ever right now. You guys talk about changes through the decades. Do we need sports safety standards that are lagging behind? Are MLB pitching injuries open for safety investigations?
There's been a lot of dialogue, but at this point in time, there's only been one thing. There's a story that was breaking today. We didn't cover it because it can't cover everything every day. There's a story breaking. Maybe we'll talk about it on Monday. Major League Baseball just put out today a 17-page memo banning all scouts from having access to any high school prospect or college prospect in the offseason. What's been going on, John? I only saw fragments of it. I didn't have enough time to study the whole thing. What's happened is with the growth of high school sports and all these travel teams and all these off-season tournaments, notably in the warm weather states, there's no downtime for kids to recover from injury or just to rest or build. And baseball today, there'll probably be a big story about it tomorrow on the national wires. 17-page document that says you cannot have access starting this October 15th. There will be a blackout October 15th till, is it January 15th or April 15th? Anyhow, it's a long window in which scouts will not be allowed access to any workouts, any meetings. There will be no travel teams and things of that nature. In other words, they're mandating, notably for pitchers, that all high school pitchers be in shutdown mode the entire offseason. Now, it's up to the kid if he wants to do weight training, if he and his family want to do private throwing, but clubs cannot put pressure on kids. You got to do this, you got to do this,
Interesting. Well, the kids are overworked, and in baseball, they're playing 12 months a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, that's just probably for pros, right? It's not for the college recruiters.
Yes.
Oh, for them too.
College, MLB teams and scouts will have no access to college pitchers, high school pitchers. High school players are college players.
But college recruiters can still scout high school players.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Potential scholarship opportunities. It's just fun though, is when my kids were playing ball in high school, you'd be in the stands and then you'd see like one of the scouts show up, and sometimes they'd wear a logo of the team they represented or the college they represented, but sometimes they didn't, but you knew they were a scout just by what they wore and how they behaved.
They'd want to tip their hand.
Yeah, it would be some of that, but it's an interesting little bit of gamesmanship, and you see the parents in the stands are like, hey, there's a scout from the Cubs that's over there. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. So anyhow, it's great you asked that question. This just came down, I'd say at 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and there'll be a lot more publicity about the blackout and the limited access, the shutdown access to high school kids and college kids. There's also a survey. The American School of Medicine just put out a survey today, which is part of this embargo. 80, let me think if I word this correctly, 80% of the high school and college pitchers who go to the MLB workout camp, 80% of the pitchers who have to have the physicals have either shoulder or elbow damage. And 71% of the high school kids that have been in these showcases.
Oh, like the perfect game, maybe. Yeah.
Have pending problems.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the byproduct of a way to control it is you limit how much pitching these kids do and how much pressure points are placed on these kids to get ready to get drafted or signed.
Yeah.
Kids need a shutdown period. Kids need a time to rehab.
Well, and I think that was the beauty of old school, where they would play different sports in different seasons, kind of work different parts of your body. But yeah, now they say, you're in the 6th grade, you need to specialize, and it's pretty nuts.
Okay, let's do some social media here before we put a lid on this thing.
Before we put a lid on this thing, okay, let's go here. There's still a little bit of smack talk with the Raiders. Let's go here to Lucan. He goes, Lee, I think you've never talked about that 63-21 whooping your Los Angeles Chargers took from the Raiders way back when.
Oh, we did.
And you're right. We talk about our past, but at least we have a past worth talking about. Good night now.
Thank you. Thank you for following. You may disagree with the host, but that's okay. But we did talk extensively. And I'll tell you what, the Chargers have never forgotten Antonio Pierce and his comment about running up that score. You know who these guys are? I'm leaving my starters in. Screw them. Because I wound up getting Antonio Pierce fired at the end of the day. But no, we talk Raiders, we talk Chargers, etc. And it's great that you got those shiny, dusty, dented trophies in your closet. But the reality is, just go back since 2010. That's all I want. Homework assignment for Raider Nation. Since 2010, please tell me what the combined win-loss record of Raider football is from then to now. I bet it's 100 games under 500. Have not been very good lately, John.
No, they haven't. No, and I'm hopeful this season.
Sure.
But I want to go look at that one comment. Good night now. Now, did you invent that, or was that Rome?
No, I did.
Because Rome uses that shtick, I think, to this day.
I'm still waiting for my royalty check. Yes.
When was the last time you talked to Jim Rome?
Oh, it's been years. Mm-hmm. Again, he's not here. He's up in L.A., and then he goes to vacation in Wisconsin and Montana, and I cross paths with him every once in a while down here, but not. I bet it's probably been 5 years. And he left. He left our stations, and he went off and did really well on his own career. And he's never come back to the reunions. We have a whole bunch of people from 690, 1090, and we get together at Christmas time. But I understand he's got a family, and he lives in L.A. He does not live down here, so he's never really interacted with us ever since he became a superstar. Which everybody chooses their own path as to what's important in their life and where they were, etc. Me, I go back to Appalachia once a year to see friends I worked with when I first broke into radio.
Yeah, we all have
We all
different
come
things.
from somewhere.
We all do different things in our life. I know. I'm a big fan of Rome. I think he does a great work. But you were terrific too. You're still terrific. But that was the cool thing about 690 is there all those different personalities had different angles, different ways to look at the game, and it's fun how Rome packages the hacksaw shtick into his gloss.
That's okay.
And it's sort of like gets a second life, out there.
Send the royalty check. Just tell me you respect me. That's all. Let's move on. A couple more here.
Okay, let's go to Aztec for Life. And this is from Aaron. He goes, Sean Lewis speaks in catchphrases and one-liners. Athletic alumni like me aren't engaged because nobody stewards us. And I'm an Aztec for Life and a 4-year starter letter winner in soccer. Nobody builds community in the lowest hanging fruit, the athletic team's alumni base.
Well, the product hasn't been very good. I mean, I might be in the minority. I just happen to think the specialness we had during Rocky Long, Brady Hoke, for the most part, was phenomenal. I mean, you go 106-48. That's a real accomplishment, Aaron. But let's give Sean Lewis some time. Are there too many catchphrases? Is there too much coach speak for me? Hell yes. But I know where he's been. I've seen what he's done. I know people in the conferences that he's coached in that have spoken in glowing terms. He just needs time. He needs his quarterback to have a good game this weekend. He needs his quarterback to be there and stay there. He needs this transfer portal set of rules now to work in their favor rather than against him. But he's no different than anybody else. I mean, I got friends at Wyoming that are just going through a terrible time with player retainment only because of the NIL and transfer portal and the lack of resources at one school state that doesn't have a population base to recruit to. So it's everywhere. It's in lots of different places. Changes are coming in college football, but I'm just willing to give Sean Lewis a bigger window to make this thing grow. But I am shocked the community and that's a San Diego State failure of the athletic department that they did not create an environment to welcome all those displaced Charger fans to come be part of the product. Because when the Chargers left, Rocky and Brady were still cooking here and doing a good job.
Yeah, and that was before COVID hit, where everything went sideways. But isn't this weekend, aren't they having a special salute to Rocky Long and the team? I don't know, was it from 10 years ago or something?
Yeah, the 2015 team, et cetera. But, that's why they gave all these tickets away, trying to get people at least come in the building and cheer. But, if you come in the building and you get beat by Cal by 35 points, does it help you? I don't know. They're just in a tough place now. And the only thing that's going to change it is winning, and winning big, and winning with throwing the damn ball down the field. And a lot was expected, and nothing's been delivered yet. But let's give Sean Lewis
Just
a window.
keep giving the ball to Lucky Sutton.
Yeah,
5.9 yards per rush. That's all you need.
Okay.
Okay, this is an interesting comment. We talked boxing in our last
Yes.
podcast, and this is from Sonny. He goes, wrestling has all the flash and drama. Cage fighting has all the brutality. And then to make things worse, along comes a guy named Jake Paul who turns boxing into a clown show. Will boxing ever make a big comeback? No. People who think so are wishing and hoping. Boxing will never be the same. Our childhoods will never return as much as we want them to. We're only left with our memories and the fading sound of punches and bells as they ring into that forever night.
Well, it's a different aura. And obviously media has had a big part in the growth and the explosion of WWE, women's wrestling, and all that. And again, the Olympic programs have failed. We're not developing boxers, but maybe there's other sports for these guys to go to. I don't know. I asked the question on my mini poll on Twitter, is America only enthused about blood sports? It kind of seems that way to me right now, but we grew up in an unbelievable era. I mean, I grew up as a kid watching black and white TV and watching the Friday night cavalcade of sports fights on New York television, black and white TV. And that was late 50s into the 60s. And then obviously, John and I have talked extensively about so many great boxers, from Ali through Tyson and all that. And then those other weight classes which took over, the Sugar Ray Leonards and the Haglers and the Hitman Hearns. I mean, that was really special. All that's gone. And maybe it's because the Olympic programs are not the feeder system any longer, or maybe it's because guys have gone to do other things in the cage fighting, UFC, etc.
Yeah, I think it might have been Steve Hartman may have said this like 20, 30 years ago, how in the 1950s, I mean, it was baseball was number one, college football was number two, and boxing was number three.
Yep.
And if you were in New York City, I mean, that was like, that was
a mecca.
That was before everything moved to Vegas. But there are a lot of different fighting that's going on out there, all the different flavors of fighting. But I'll tell you this is our buddy, Jerry, invited me to go with him down to North Park. And it was, what's the guy's name? Archie Moore.
Yes.
That was the boxer from Ramona. His son was running this boxing group. It was called ABC, like always be, I can't remember, always boxing something. Can't remember what it stood for, but they had these young kids out there, like 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds. And it was all safe. They had the headgear and it was the class, by weight and everything, but it was really cool to see the way not only these kids took a lot of pride in fighting and everything that comes with that, but their family and friends were all there to support them. And there are, some sports nerds like us that just sort of like the whole ambience of the event. So there's still a lot of boxing going on, but it's sort of like tucked away in the corner.
Well, it's at the grassroots level, but that's where it used to be. And that's what it grew into. And then you went to Gold Gloves. The Gold Glove tournaments in New York were just unbelievable. When I was a kid growing up, I mean, Gold Glove boxing was huge. And that was a stepping off point that took you to the Olympics, etc. But all that's gone away.
Yeah, it's a different world. And thank God for the Rocky movies.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30 each day. Want you to tell everybody who we are, what we do. Hey, you got to help us grow this thing. This thing is exploding. It's just great to have you along board. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. Go to Dixieline.com, see all the things they have to offer. Despite your public stance and a whole bunch of things I don't agree with, I still like you as my co-host until you go to prison for income tax evasion.
Yeah, we have fun with this. Hey, by the way, isn't it Thursday Night Football? Is it Dolphins and
Miami, Buffalo?
Miami, Buffalo. Have you seen maybe you haven't seen the promo ads on Amazon Prime of Fitzpatrick out there with Whitworth? It's on. Have you ever seen those two guys? Yeah. They're funny looking because Whitworth looks like what's his name? Was it Grimly from the Lord of the Rings movies? Yes. With the long beard? So it'll be fun to watch Thursday Night Football tonight.
Too much noise for me. Just give me the game. I don't need all the ancillary junk.
Some of the junk is fun. Some of it is outside the boundary.
Only thing we'll know for certain, you're going to have a great sports weekend. And we're going to be back here Monday at 1:30. Talk about the playoffs at that point in time in baseball. Talk about the World Series. Talk about, obviously, what's happened in the NFL, college football, etc. News and notes, the NBA, NHL. Well, apologies in advance. We do sports talk the way it should be done. We cover all the topics, and it's great to have you as part of this podcast on our fans forum. John, despite your shortcomings, have yourself a great sports weekend.
Right back at you.
Thanks, and thanks for being with us, as always, being part of our podcast. Have a great sports weekend on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.